Throughout the many Haute42 models, we've seen many revisions, but one of the main issues people had was that their flagship releases essentially had all 30mm button layouts. This was first addressed with the S series featuring smaller action buttons and a large jump button, albeit on a much smaller controller. And then later with the R16 with a bit of a different layout from their usual 16 button layout, but at a better size and with button rims. And now we have the U16, which brings back the original 16 button layout and refines the R16 with the small action buttons and button rims. But that's not all that's different, as there's quite a few quality of life improvements. But first, let's rewind and talk about the accessories that come with it. From here, you get the usual bag of spare parts, an angled USB-C cable, a screwdriver as the top panel is actually much easier to remove for art this time, a couple of stickers, a manual, and the controller itself. And packaged in with the controller, you actually get quite a few pre-cut art inserts, with 2 of them being white so you can attach the stickers that came with it, or any of your own, or to even draw your own art on it. And then these 2 additional pre-made designs that actually look pretty nice. Now let's get back to looking at the controller. At first glance, you may think that they're using full-sized Sanwa buttons, but they're actually not, as these are meant to mock the feel and look of them, but they actually use their crystal tactile switches. Then at the top left we have our OLED screen, which shows inputs when plugged in, the turbo button, and then the menu buttons at the top right, which are labeled. If we look at the side profile, you can see they no longer use the acrylic layer design that they used in the previous models, and they use this plastic which is smooth but textured. So this removes any potential issues with the acrylic layer shifting or creaking like in previous models. The trade-off is that you can no longer add art to the bottom, but in return, you can easily remove the top panel without taking the whole controller apart. At the bottom, you get some rubber feet with the outer 4 protruding and the inner ones being more pressed in. And I really want to highlight just how thin the U16 is, coming at only 1.1 centimeters high. And I noticed this as soon as I grabbed it, and it feels like the perfect travel controller with how easy it is to carry, with it being thin and lightweight. But these don't compromise on how it feels in your lap, as you shouldn't have issues with it sliding around. So if you want to change the art, you'll just need to get the provided screwdriver and remove these 9 screws. As a side note, I'd recommend unscrewing each screw about 50% before unscrewing them all the way, as to alleviate the pressure evenly. And then to loosen the top panel, I'd recommend flipping it upside down and tapping the bottom to loosen it over a cushioned surface. Once you're good to go ahead and lift the art panel and the old art, and you can get a quick look as to how the U16 looks like under the art panel. And do your best to not touch the bottom of the art panel to not get any dust, debris, or oil underneath. Then get your art panel and your new art and line everything up. And then to reassemble, I'd recommend screwing in each screw about 50% before screwing them all into full tightness, which is more important in the reassembly process, as you don't want to over tighten the screws, as that can crack the acrylic. And here's how it looks plugged in with the new art. For console compatibility, I'll discuss it briefly as I've covered the firmware in previous videos. If you want to use these on the PS4, PS5, or Xbox Series S or X consoles, you'll need an adapter. For PS4 and PS5, you can choose from the Brook Wingman FGC, the Mayflash V1.1, PXN N5, or Haute42's Booter 5 adapter. And I'd even be on the lookout for the Brook Wingman FGC2, which will allow use on all PS5 games, as the other adapters I mentioned limit the controller's use to PS5 fighting games and games that support legacy controllers only. But on the PS4, those adapters can be used for all games. For the Xbox, you'll want to get the Mayflash Mag1 FPS or the Magic X adapter. If you want to learn more about PS4 and PS5 compatibility with these controllers, go ahead and watch this video of mine. It's fairly short and it'll show you all that you need. Now with all that talk out of the way, how does it feel to actually play? The layout mimics the traditional HitBox feeling really well and may be more comfortable for some, as the buttons aren't as large as the original Haute42 models. A large benefit to the switches in the controller are that they have a slightly more firm press. This isn't a bad thing, as I wouldn't say they're significantly slower than linear switches, and they're actually quite responsive. This helps me feel my inputs better, which is really important in crucial situations where maybe I'm in burnout and I need to spam super, and you don't get that kind of feedback with Sanwa buttons. As for the extra buttons, honestly just drive impact and parry using the manual input for the majority of the time. That's mainly an issue with my muscle memory, as the buttons for easy DI and parry are nice additions, and I just need to train my brain to press them faster, as they're definitely faster and more precise than the manual input. Form factor is also great, and it's the most immediate thing that I noticed when I started using it. The plastic feels fairly solid, and just how thin the thing is really sold me on this. It's easy to carry and bring around while still having a decent amount of heft to it, so I had no issues with it sliding around on my lap. It just felt really comfortable to use and I had no major issues using it. It's great to see Haute42 constantly improving the controllers, not only in terms of quality with material, but also with all of the quality of life changes they've made. If you already have a Haute42 controller, I don't think these changes are enough to warrant you to upgrade, but if you're someone who hasn't used a Haute42 controller, or someone who wants to get into Leverless, then this is definitely a solid choice. You're getting a nice portable controller with a lot of features and customization at a great value. Anyway, that's it for me. Let me know if you have any questions and please consider subscribing. Thank you.